Welcome to another episode of Hot and Healthy on Snap TV, and I'm absolutely delighted to introduce you all to Awad Joumaa, who is a journalist with Al Jazeera TV, a wellness entrepreneur, and currently studying at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition because he has a passion for health and politics. So welcome to the show, Awad.
Thank you, Nicole, for hosting me. It's a great pleasure and an honor to be here today.
I'm really grateful that you said yes. So what happened? I mean, how does an Al Jazeera journalist go from that to studying holistic health?
Well, it's been a long journey which has sped up particularly in the last 3-4 years. I'm a Palestinian who was born into a refugee camp in Lebanon and grew up there. And both my parents told me that when I was about 6 months, my tummy would blow up almost like to a balloon. So from a young age, I has had issues with my tummy. And as the years went by, and I had to, survive in this world and go from high school to university onto a professional career, my stomach, got into a lot of tear and wear. And about 3-4 years ago, I was based on the Turkey-Syria border, covering the Syrian war. And as I went even further into my career, the amount of stress that we face as journalists is immense. And eventually my body started giving in, and especially my stomach went really bad. I had a serious ulceration. It reached a level C, which is quite critical. So I had to stop and think, what is it I was doing wrong in my life, and what is it that I can do to change that? And that's when I met you, and we had amazing sessions that would really clicked with me, and I realized that I had to do some dramatic changes into my life, starting with nutrition, but also more so trying to get a more holistic lifestyle. And what does that mean? That means trying to have a better life-work balance. And that's where change started. And that's what sparked my interest into health. And coming from a politics and journalism background, the journey has been to combine these things together.
And how do you see that combination coming together?
Well, being a journalist, we get to see a lot of what's happening that is bad with the world. But after having met you and started a course at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, I have to come to learn that, yes, there's a lot of badness happening in the world, but at the same time, there's a great amount of energy out there that's trying to change the world on one-to-one, each one teach one basis, and creating almost what the founder of the Institute calls the ripple effect. And that's where the juxtaposition and trying to combine what's happening with the world on a grand level and what's happening in people's individual lives. So everything around us affects us, whether it's the politics, the wars, the way the corporations produce our food, the way we work, the environment we live in, everything is affected by politics. So I found it inevitable that you have to link the two, and for order to change to happen, we have to work with individuals. So that's where the health and politics combination came in to be.
And if you could do anything in this world, and you can, what would you like to do?
Since I was a young kid, I remember I grew up in Denmark, and every graduation of 9th grade and high school, your fellow students and friends would write a little blurb about you at the end of yearbook. And a few years back, I was going through some of those end of year books, and I read what people had written about me. And they said Awad will either be the Palestinian Prime Minister or he will be a journalist. And I never wanted to be either of them, but I've always felt an urge to engage with people. And I remember in all my evaluation as a kid, the teachers would always say Awad loves talking and loves discussing and engaging with people. So over the years, I've come to realize that my passion is in working with people and in education. So I've tried to do that with journalism, but I found that for me, that's a great opportunity, it's a great chance, but I find it's not enough to report on the world. I'd like to take part in changing the world. And the last year and this year, since enrolling into my current studies as a holistic coach, I've been trying to figure out what is my role in that journey. There's a lot of great people doing great work there, whether it's bringing organic food to the Middle East or working with people's health in different ways. I think my role at this stage, and this is not final, is to help educate people. First of all, by changing myself, educating myself, and thereby inspiring other people to work towards improving their life by taking a moment to stop and see where they are at life and how can we all improve. I greatly believe in collective work, so I'm trying to connect with people here in Qatar and beyond and see how we can together develop what I call a wellness brand or wellness service that can contribute to the community. And so that's where I see my role as an educator, facilitator in Qatar at the moment, and hopefully also beyond.
Fantastic. And you're developing a range of products as well.
Yes, I recently, at the end of last year, I met an amazing and inspiring person called David Hattedal. He's one of the most fit men I've met in my life. Okay. He used to work with Hollywood actors and actresses. And having met him, he gave me his book called Transformation. And in there, for the first time, I read about the importance or the impact of toxins in our body and the imbalance that we have in our hormones. And I realized that a lot of the issues we have as men, as women, relates to the environment we live in, and the impact of just simple daily products like dishwashers, the deodorants we use, the soap we use, is highly toxic. And I've seen a lot of friends, children suffer from eczema, allergies. I have a good friend of mine whose daughter is about 1.5 years, and poor girl, I mean, she looked like she's come out of a war. I mean, her body is covered with eczema. So we've been trying to help him, and having read a lot about what toxins do to her, I've realized one of the two intimate things we use are deodorants and detergents at home, etc. So having been to Thailand and worked some of the people out there, cutting edge, trying to change what kind of products we use at home, I've come to learn that you can go back to basics. So at the moment, we have developed two products that they're still in developing phase. One is a natural deodorant, using home ingredients, and also a laundry soap, homemade laundry soap.
Fantastic, fantastic. And thank you so much. I know that we've come to the end of our time. It's a very, very short interview, and I'd love to have you on the show to do a complete podcast as things evolve for you and to stay in touch and see where it goes. So if you could leave the listeners and those watching a message from you with all of your experience, particularly around that stress and shift work and being surrounded and inundated with negative forces, views, thoughts, experiences. What would you like to leave the listeners with in terms of how they can get some holistic health and sustainable success?
I think we all have the ability within ourselves for change and to be able to manage our life. There's two things that I found has worked great for me, and I believe everyone out there needs this. I'm taking a moment every day to be grateful, taking a moment every day to breathe, and evaluating our relationship with the outside world, and for me as a Muslim, with our God. I think spirituality is very key, and if we look at all the great people out there, they all had some sort of spiritual practice. And I think that's missing in our modern day today, where we are focusing a lot on just consuming. And I think taking that moment to breathe and connect with the greater world out there, I think, is a key way to help us all be more balanced and deal with the stresses we have from work and the rest of our life.
Great. And on the food side of things, what would you suggest people do around the nutrition and food side of things?
One thing I've learned that is important to people is to work with what they already have and what they already know. So trying to put people on various crazy diets, I think, is not sustainable. I think going back to one's roots and learning how one's grandparents ate before the Industrial Revolution, before chemical and processed food came about, and trying to bring whatever is left of that tradition. So for us here living in the Middle East, we have to, as much as possible, follow a Mediterranean diet, which is full of vegetables and fruit, a little rice, little wheat. And I think that for me and a lot of people I've worked with recently, that seems to create great results.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for saying yes to being a guest on Hot and Healthy with Snap TV.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to more episodes with you guys.
There will be. So make sure that you tune into more episodes of Hot and Healthy and go to Snap TV and watch this episode and share it with all your friends. Give us some feedback and let us know how we can bring you more fantastic information, people and practices to help you be hot and healthy. This episode of Hot and Healthy is presented to you by me, Nicole van Hattem, holistic success coach and best-selling author, and brought to you by Snap TV. Tune into the show and listen to the people and practices that help you to think, eat, thrive.